Okay, hello everybody. Today is Wednesday, 22nd of July, and this is the Metal3 community meeting. So, as usual, we will start with an introduction round. If we have some new people on the call who want to introduce themselves, like say hi and why you are interested in Metal3. I'm going to pause now, and meanwhile, everybody attending the call can add their name on the attending list on the meeting notes. So I'm going to pause now. If you want to introduce yourself, just take the opportunity and speak out. Okay, then I guess we can continue with the agenda. I posted the link to the link to the meeting notes in case you don't have it in the chat. So the first item that is there, is this in this category, is the new design proposals. This is mostly to raise awareness that there is some work ongoing about the adding a network configuration possibility into Metal3. So, the main idea behind this is to use some kind of SDN controller and put a Metal3 controller in front of that to be able to configure the switches on the fly, like basically just before provisioning, when you know which VLAN should be configured on the switch or whatever, you're then putting it at that point. So the document is open. Yeah, let me actually open it here. It's pretty much like work in progress right now. So, but if you're interested, have a look and comment there. I'm wondering if we have the person who started it on the call right now, but I don't think so. But anyway, so have a look if you're interested. It's pretty much quite a bit of hand waving right now, but we're going in the right direction, starting to put the user stories together and this is evolving into something that could very well be a design proposal very soon. Are there any questions related to this, or should we move to the next topic?
So this one is dealing explicitly with switch configuration?
For now, that's yes, the angle that was taken mostly. It's focusing on the configuration for the bare metal machine. So what is connected to so the switch itself. There is not yet any discussion about anything else. It could be that it would be interesting to have, but if you have some ideas, please jump in there and put a comment about.
Just wondering how we would handle the situation of a logical switch that's running on a smart NIC or a device that's actually plugged into a server that's independently programmable.
That's a very good question. Would you expect this to be programmable from outside the hardware, or would it be as part of the deployment of the the bare metal host, that it would be then configurable?
It would be the configuration would be initiated from the bare metal host, but once the controller is once the bare metal host is up, then the controller card would have to be sent its system image, and that would then need to be configured. And I'm not sure at this time, but I am of the opinion that it's going to be possible to externally configure that also.
Okay, well, this is a very interesting point. So if you could put it in the design document so that we consider it. And
yeah, where would we put that in the document?
maybe like you can put that for now in the as a comment for the user stories, like saying that you would also want to, as a user, you would want the configuration of the like nick, or like however you call it, like being this needs to be taken into consideration. But yeah, very good point. Thanks a lot. Is there any other thing that you would want to discuss on this document? Cool. Then let's move on. The next point is basically just a small update saying that the code of conduct and the roadmap have now been merged. So we're like going to like proceed again with the application to the CNCF soon. Then related to those points, we defined in this like roadmap design proposal like having a roadmap project for Metal3. So this is now the current status of like what we have in our backlog and the feature request that we have. So I was thinking it would be good to like discuss as a community which one of those are actually things that we would want to support and that we see valuable to implement, and which feature requests are things that probably we are not really interested in, or like at least that we would postpone postpone the implementation until a point where we see it more valuable. We don't have many people on the call, so I don't really know if we can go through this like this now, but we can at least discuss the different feature requests that we have here, and how we see it fitting in the Metal3 like lifetime. Let's like how they would integrate in the project. And actually, the first one is the design proposal that has been being worked on is actually from this first feature request that was the network configuration integration, and so it's actually like ongoing piece of work. So probably we can just put this in the backlog directly, because that's something that is happening right now. And as always, like feel free to interrupt and like say your comments or questions, or however through the process. Okay, then the next feature request was a proposal to enable scaling up by grabbing the bare metal host that would have otherwise been consumed by other clusters. There was quite a bit of discussion on this, so there's quite a bit of interest, I would say, but it went to stale right now, so I'm not exactly sure what we should do with this.
Which is this one?
This enable scaling up. So it's number 82 in the Metal docs. So the idea behind this is
such a complicated topic that like we're just nowhere near being ready to even think about addressing this. But I think a lot of this needs to actually be something external to us. Like you need some sort of reservation system that's external to Metal3. And I don't think that's in scope for us.
So do you think that's something that we should put in the backlog to be addressed later on, or something that is not really feasible. So at the moment, just stays as a feature request for now.
Yeah, I wouldn't add it to the backlog at this stage. I think it's way too early to be thinking about that.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, you can just stay here for now, and maybe I'll remove the lifecycle stale label so that we don't, it doesn't close per se, but that's. Maybe we'll need in this roadmap something saying like kind of like postponed or something like this, that's saying that we actually triaged it but are not going to do anything about it right now. I'll maybe work on that after the meeting. So the next proposal was this auto scaling for machine sets. It's also something that was like quite old already, and I'm wondering if the machine deployment and machine sets are like now, if this should be like covered by the autoscaler work that is happening in CAPI, like, or if there will be, if that's something we should still want to do on our own side. Like, so just the idea behind this was to, like, let's say you have a certain number of bare metal hosts available. If you would get like a couple of hosts that would be in addition available later on, then the machine set would be automatically scaled to use those new nodes.
Yeah, so I think in a standalone deployment where all of the hardware is assigned to a single cluster, this is just saying we're always going to use all of the hardware. And I think for a lot of use cases, that's always going to make sense. So yeah, I mean, that seems like a reasonable thing. I'm not sure to what extent. I don't know if this has been implemented downstream in OpenShift already, and we're just talking about bringing it back upstream, or if this never happened. I don't actually know what happened with that.
It doesn't seem to have been, like Doug was saying, that it doesn't support that today.
Yeah, but that was in November, so who knows?
True. Well, maybe it's the same thing as the previous one. We just leave it aside for now. If we do that on the autoscaler side, then we will probably need either like a fork of the autoscaler to have our own Metal Cube aware autoscaler that would know like how to get those bare metal hosts and find out the number so that it can scale the cluster, or then have a completely different controller that would just be focusing on making sure that the machine deployments are scaled to the maximum number of bare metal hosts. But that is indeed.
Or it's so it's not looking at it's not like the cluster autoscaler, which is looking at like, can I schedule another pod now, or do I have stuff in the queue? It's literally, I have this many machines and I'm going to use all of them. So it's between the bare metal operator and the machine set. So it can be just a separate little controller in there, I think.
Yeah, it would make more sense. It's the cluster autoscaler is probably far too complex for the goal here. But this would definitely need to be refined. For example, if you have multiple machine sets or machine deployments, let's say, how do you like assign the new nodes? Like, do you just grow them one by one, or like this kind of details will need to be discussed anyway. So let's leave that aside for now, probably.
I wonder how we would classify as a machine a smart NIC that's a fully programmable NIC that needs its OS deployed to it, and how we would treat a GPU, both of which would be inserted into a bare metal host. And some of these are in fact capable of running completely independently once they've been provisioned with their OS. we've got a complex problem there, and to look at it simply as a bare metal host is problematic, because obviously you would not be able to reach that device until the bare metal host itself has been provisioned. I think I've stumped everyone, haven't I? Sorry.
I'm not sure that's related to this, but
We could make a conscious decision and say we don't deal with that case. That's a possible position we could take.
Well, I'm not sure that we don't want to deal with the case, but it's like highly possible that in order to cover those cases, we will need quite an extension of the API in Metal3 to cover, like, for example, creating a smart NIC object or something like this that would allow us to treat it the way you are talking now, that it needs first the bare metal host to come up, and then it would be treated as its independent object. But that is that probably would need to be a separate feature request.
Yeah.
So that we can trigger the discussion there about like what we want.
As I think through the possibilities there, my head hurts. Maybe come back to that. Should I put something in somewhere?
Sure. So basically, this project here reflects the issues that are in Metal3 docs. So if you create an issue in the Metal3 docs repository, then it will automatically pop up here in the feature request.
How do I do that? Can you show me that?
Yeah. So basically, like when you're in the Metal3 docs repository, you can just go to the issues here and click on the new issue button, and then explain what you would want to see supported by Metal3. Is it clear?
I'm on the main page.
So it's in the top left corner. Like you have code and issues there, so you need to click on issues.
Yeah, maybe we can deal with this offline.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I don't mean to hold everyone up.
Sure. So let's move on then, like, to the following item. So there was this proposal from Digambar about adding a keystone authentication. So the idea was that there would be already an existing ironic running somewhere in the infrastructure deployed with keystone, so that then like bare metal operator would be directly talking to that instance and would then need to support the keystone authentication method. I think this is something that is not too far-fetched and like not too difficult to get, especially considering that we are now, like, there's work ongoing with this HTTP basic authentication and with the MTLS. So it's a matter of like selecting the proper client and giving it the proper informations. So we could probably put this in the backlog.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a pretty reasonable option to have to me.
Yeah, that would definitely allow to integrate with some things that are maybe like deployed more like Bifrost or whatever, like where you have a bit like OpenStack-like infrastructure on the side. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then let's move to the next item. This one was for this Infoblox IPAM support is for this IP address manager that we have in Metal3. And the idea was to not like assign ourselves the IP addresses, but actually like forward the request to Infoblox in the backlog. So I think this was mostly coming from Deutsche Telekom request. And and it's just to be so that they would be able to integrate with their own system. And then like this info blocks is actually like pretty spread use, so it could be something like nice to have. But maybe like as long as there's nobody like committing to work on it or like really asking for it, it probably shouldn't like go into our backlog yet. Okay, well, if there's no objection, then it's going to stay there. Then the next feature request is this in-place upgrade. The idea behind this one would be that, like, because you have a hardware cluster, like where basically you would be most probably running a stacked storage. If it would be possible to do an in-place upgrade, meaning that the upgraded node will land on the exact same hardware where it was before, and we wouldn't wipe all the disks, but only the one where we are actually having the image. Then we would be able to like directly reuse the disks that are still there and populated with the data in the, for example, safe infrastructure that we have, and this would like help with regard to like avoiding like a huge amount of data traveling through the whole cluster while doing the upgrade of the nodes. It's actually pretty complex to do because right now we don't have any way to pin that node was the one used before, and so you should be basically selecting it, and there's like lots of other constraints coming on top of this that make it like not that straightforward. For example, like if you don't want to wipe a disk, like there's at the moment no way to like do that with the bare metal operator, but that would definitely be something nice to have to be a bit more efficient in our upgrades. I'm wondering if this should go to the backlog or stay here for now.
I feel like that's a really hard thing to express in our current API, and that maybe when we look at the next rev of the API, which I've been slack on getting that into a Google Doc, but maybe that's something we could think about there as a potential use case, so that maybe if the we talked about splitting between an allocation and a kind of provisioning resource. So maybe if the allocation resource is still sticking around, then we don't clean the disks, and just the provisioning is updated, then we just update the image without cleaning the disks. Or if both of them are removed, then we clean the disks and start again. I could imagine something like that anyway, but it's difficult to think of a good API for that with the current API where we only have one object.
Yeah, definitely, and it touches pretty much everything. Like it's not only Cap3, but also from the Capi point of view, that because the upgrade is just done the same way that we are just deleting the node, and then there's a new node created. Like, how could we make sure that even if we're considering the V1 Alpha 2 for bare metal operator, like how to make sure that the allocation would not be deleted because you actually know that you're doing an upgrade? This is definitely unclear and something difficult to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we should. I think that's still something that would be good to consider when we are like talking about the V1 Alpha 2 upgrade, like the change of the API. So probably we can put this in the backlog to keep it in mind when we proceed with the V1 Alpha 2 migration of PMO.
Yeah, it's certainly something we need to consider. Whether that, I don't know if I put it in the backlog because it's not really ready to work on, but I don't know. I guess it depends on how you want to use these columns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'll put a label about the priority there so that we know that it's which one is long term then, like the lowest. Yeah. Should we then move to the next one? Okay, so the next was a request for the Metal3 to support like not only selecting the bare metal host based on the labels, but also on any other, basically any other selector, like something that is, well, metadata.name was mentioned here, or any kind of capacity, anything in the spec of the bare metal host. That's also a very old story.
You have a controller that rolls up whatever information you need into a label.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Yeah.
Would you mind repeating what you said? I didn't get it. Sorry.
I was saying, why wouldn't you just, if you had some field that you're interested in selecting on, why wouldn't you have a little controller that reads that field and applies a label?
So yeah, definitely that's something that could be done. Yeah.
I added sorry.
No, go on, please.
I added issue 126.
Okay, great, thanks. Probably will show up in the roadmap next time we go there, or next time I reload.
Actually, I think the this issue might have been superseded by the hardware classifier already.
Yeah, indeed, yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to put a comment here that sorry. Well, shall I close it then for now, and someone can reopen it if there's something more to it?
I think that's a reasonable approach.
Okay. Then, oh, then the last issue. Well, it's still missing the one from John, but I can fix that maybe later. The last point was about like having the hardware inspection done with Redfish instead of going through the introspection. So the idea behind this was just to speed up the process from like having nothing to having the target cluster deployed. It was made clear that there would be some missing information if we just do it with an inspection instead of going through the introspection. But if the like whatever is using the node would be okay with like having less of this informations, then we probably would be able to just go like, for example, with the Redfish, using Redfish as a driver for the inspection, and then provisioning right away on top of that, for example, with the virtual media. But this also requires quite some changes to the bare metal operator, because right now we don't have any way to configure. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, but I don't think we have any way to configure a specific driver for the for a specific node for the inspection or introspection in that case. Like they all default to the same like for example, if you're using Redfish driver or IPMI driver, all the nodes that are using this will have the same way of doing the inspection.
Yeah, that's correct at the moment. Yeah, I mean, my concern with this is that it just like leads to completely different behavior on every bit of hardware. So yeah, it may work for some, and it will definitely be faster. But then you have to deal with the complexity of you never know. There's no consistent API anymore. Like,
we're still using Ironic to drive the introspection. Is that correct?
Yes, in that case, it would still be Ironic fetching the information from the Redfish API, for example.
So it's out of band inspection in Ironic as opposed to in band inspection in Ironic. So I mean, I kind of really think of them as completely different things almost.
But do we think that we should still like always force an introspection on all users, or like, because like having an out of band inspection is also something like that can be valuable in some specific cases?
You know, I think that we should, it's my opinion that we should introspect a node and maintain a record of that, the capabilities of that node and the state of those items in our registry, so that we have the ability to detect any departure that may have taken place and we have not noticed the change. Do I make sense there? So handling, for example, an errant node, a defective or a jittery or a node that's not behaving. We might, if we did an introspection as our first step in remediation, we can then compare that against what we knew about that node when we first provisioned it.
That goes a bit in the same direction as some proposal. I think, was it from Doug or Russell, about like running some kind of like small EPA image on the node at all time to make sure that we always like update the status of the node, like the hardware kind of like capabilities of the node. But yeah, it's a bit different from this.
Do like continuous introspection. So basically run Ironic Python agent in a container in a daemon set, and have that constantly reporting introspection data so that the host was always up to date. And in the end, we decided just not to bother with that.
I think that's more invasive than I would like to do. If we simply create a host ID, host database record in our registry when we first introspect, and only deal with an abnormality, and our first step in dealing with the abnormality is do a host introspection and a comparison, see if anything's changed that we were not aware of.
Yeah, definitely the part of the reintrospection in case of like need for remediation, this is already being worked on right now with this like remediation proposal. So there is a PR that is going to come soon from Feroz, but is in the call. I don't think so. So basically, like it's adding a reintrospection API to bare metal operator, so that you're able to like ask for the host to go through the reintrospection process again, and this could be also orchestrated from the like remediation controller that would then take care of a node that would go like unhealthy. So this is already something that is ongoing, but it doesn't have a registry per se. It just uses the Kubernetes API as such.
Right.
because most of the informations are already in the bare metal host CRs. So like until now, we have not seen the need to maintain any other type of registry than
outside of Kubernetes, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess that's almost the other side of the coin from this. So we have a plan to be able to redo the introspection whenever we want because something might have changed. But and this one's asking, do we want to allow the user to say, I don't want to do introspection at all to start with, like wait till I ask for it. And I don't know if that might be a useful thing. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, but hopefully, like the type of inspection that would be done would not change. Like in between, like for example, the initial inspection would be done with Redfish, and then it would go through an reintrospection, let's say. But then that would end up being the actual first introspection. Like hopefully, it would stay like if you inspected with Redfish, you would still inspect it again with Redfish, and bare metal operator would still respect like the driver that you selected for the inspection. But of course, like doing it with out-of-band inspection we would see far less details, and if there's a failure or a change on the node like this, it would be harder to detect.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of it as like doing an out-of-band inspection with Redfish is like the minimum. Like in order to be able to provision at all, we would always need to do that. But then you could enable or disable whether we did a full introspection using ironic Python agent. And presumably, if you're doing a full introspection, you don't also need to do the Redfish one. But yeah, I can also see that you might want to redo the Redfish inspection as well, so it gets even more complicated.
I'm just wondering, I was just reflecting on the comment that, or the proposition that we could do this in Kubernetes. And obviously the node feature discovery agent does all of that node ID anyhow. The challenge there is, are we always going to be dealing with Kubernetes? Or are we perhaps dealing with an OpenShift deployment or even integration into Airship or one of those other tools where Kubernetes and the node feature discovery capability is not available? So I think that might be a case for actually, in fact, storing the node descriptor information in an external database. Ugly though that may seem.
I might have misunderstood the point, because I was thinking like we probably are talking about the two different Kubernetes clusters. There's the first Kubernetes cluster where BMO is deployed, and that's actually where the information is stored, while the target cluster is actually can be independent and might even not exist, as you said. Like BMO doesn't requires.
Got it. Thank you. You hit the bell.
And that is actually a very good point that you made, that there might not even be a WellCap M3 or Kubernetes or whatever, like OpenShift on top of, like bare metal operator can be just used to provision nodes, like provision hardware without even needing those not being a Kubernetes cluster at the end. But anyways, this is probably getting a bit further away from the initial issue we were discussing. So about this one, like probably we should also like just put it on hold, because for this one at least there's no like v1 alpha 2 v1 alpha 1 kind of thing. Of course, it might require an addition in the spec, but not something, not a complete redesign, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, and I would probably change the priority there. Like important soon is not like we don't want that like urgently, but maybe something that we would like to have like later on, if that's okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Yes. And now I'm wondering why there is still missing the new. Oops, sorry. So this is the one Is this the one you opened? Special case compute device?
I think that's what I called it. Give me
Okay.
a second. I'm just going to have a look. It's 126 anyhow.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, that's it. How did you find it?
There is like, if you go to this add cards, there is a filter, and
I see. Got it.
you can just put the repo that you want to filter with.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
So yeah, this one it sounds more like really like a much further away kind of thing, like a good to have, like good to have in mind, but probably nothing we can really discuss or do right now.
Yeah, I would add to that this is an emerging area. There are some devices available today. They're a pain in the neck to deal with. I expect that a lot more will come forward in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay. Is it okay for you if I put like awaiting more evidence then?
I'm sorry, repeat, please.
Is it okay if I put awaiting for more evidence?
Sure, yeah.
So that we see how it evolves.
I'd like it there as a placeholder more than an immediate action issue.
And let me put feature.
I trust that meets everyone's consensus.
Yeah, that sounds good, I think. I can review this after the meeting and maybe add some thoughts from there.
Yes, please do. Okay, so now we've gone through all the. Oh, this one is still missing the. Label. Sorry, let me just add the priority. So, yeah, let's leave it there for now. Okay, so thanks a lot for going through this. We can probably go back to the agenda if everybody is okay, if there's no more questions related to the roadmap. Okay, good. Then the next point is just a PSA. We are targeting now like CAPM3 release V1 Alpha 4 for the end of July. So hopefully this will come soon. We are finishing some small details on the IPAM side, but then it and some documentation is still needed. But after that, like we should be ready to release soon. Then, so Sumit, are you here? Yes, I see you. You're in the participant. You have something you want to discuss?
Can you please open this link? Yeah, thank you. So, hi Zen, are you there? Hello.
Hey, yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, we opened this bug saying that these parameters are not fetched, and recent comment that you have. Is there anything that we can do further, like for testing this and to give you some more input if required?
Let me look up.
Hello. Hello.
Zane,
I think I missed what you said. So.
Because I don't remember it that clearly. 461.
This is little older one because we did not get time to have a look at it. So now I'm raising it.
Yeah, so it looks like the data that you're getting from Ironic does not have that information. So I'm not sure what could be causing that. I mean, it could be. It looked like you had it configured correctly on Ironic. So it could be version of Ironic Python agent, something like that.
Okay, but
Yeah.
like so, yeah. So should we keep this open? Yeah.
Where the data isn't there, so it's not the data in the operator, but I'm not sure where it's.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it was open for a good amount of time. So like, then we can put some appropriate state in today's trials. Or some add some tag to it so that we can address this later.
That's something you're still hitting, right?
Yeah, I mean, our observations are still the same. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're running with the like very recent Metal cube, I guess, right? Because
yes, the recent bug there that was there, right? The ironic was broken. So after that, we have tried this. Maybe last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, but it was just to make sure that you have the latest like IPA and ironic and everything in place.
Yes. So this we attempted last week. So maybe I think this week we did not get any chance in these 3 days. We'll try to do it one more time and see what is the recent one. But I think the data would remain.
I didn't mean that it would change like just over a week. It's just to make sure that you were not, because like a month back or something, we upgraded ironic and we jumped 2 major versions. So
yeah. So our recent run is the last week. So till that time this was there. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So maybe you can put a comment there or something to bump a bit it.
Sure.
Bump it in the.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. So, is there any other discussion topic that you would want to add to the agenda before we move on to the issue triage? No. Okay, then maybe we can go to the triage. And Stefan, do you want to take over as usual, or?
Yeah, I can do it. Can you hear my audio? Okay.
Let me give you the presenting right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you should be able now to share your screen.
It says only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
Oh, sorry. I needed to do it twice. There was like bumping you to an attendee and then to a presenter. So you should be able to. Great.
Stefan, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I'm just talking to myself over here. Okay, so it looks like we've got 3 issues to triage. This is the first one. Upgrade of workers via scale-in fails due to node name not being deleted. Looks like you might need to do things multiple times to get it to work.
Yeah, that looks more like a CAPI kind of issues, because normally it's CAPI that takes care of deleting the Kubernetes node.
So you think we should move this over to CAPI?
Well, I'm not saying even CapM3. I'm really saying the Capi core.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, maybe it would be good. Like we could investigate it a bit more, like to see if there's something specific to our case in Metal3 that would cause this, and then maybe open the issue on the Capi repo itself.
Okay.
If that
Should
happens,
we
maybe
transfer this to CapM3, or do you want to leave this here and have someone look at it?
well, it makes, I think, more sense to have it in Metal3 DevEnv because that's more like a holistic kind of.
Yeah, makes sense.
Kind of repo. But that's definitely a bug, yeah.
Backlog or important soon, maybe?
Well, if we could deal with it like soonish, that would be great. I just don't know if like about the bandwidth of the teams, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go to the next one. Auto cleaning tries to clean all devices even when setting root device hints. Yeah, this is expected behavior. Root device hints doesn't affect cleaning. I think Doug said that here. We expect the whole host to be clean.
This was being fixed in Ironic.
What was that?
This was being, Doug's comment there. Yeah, it's being fixed in Ironic so that read-only devices won't get cleaned, so it won't fail.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just a matter of waiting for the packages to make it to the RDO repo, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Then maybe we can close the issue.
Okay. Or do you want to leave this open in case? Do you know what, Artie? I thought this was done a while ago in Ironic for the read-only devices. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. Is Doug around, maybe? I don't know what version it was, but I thought it was quite a while ago we dealt with this.
Sorry, I'm here. I was having hardware issues. Could you repeat the question?
So you said recent changes in Ironic should make it ignore read-only devices, but I thought Metal3 would already have had that version. Maybe not.
It should, yes. So I think this is already fixed, and I'm assuming that the reporter was using an older image, but.
Well, I can actually tell about the image they are using. It's it was just for like from 2 months back, like the Metal3 Ironic image from 2 months back. So if it has been fixed in between,
yeah,
right?
It's definitely in that time frame.
Okay, cool. Then they will need to update, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll close this, ask them to retry, and they can reopen it if we find out that it's not working. And the last one is issue in enabling ILO hardware type.
There was a PR related to this, right? Like, isn't it something that was already dealt with, or is it still some problems there?
I think Julia gave instructions for what to do in this ticket, and that the person just needs to do it. So maybe we leave it open and tie those pull requests to this ticket so we can all remember why we're doing things like removing default settings and stuff. I think it's going to require 2 pull requests, one to change the Ironic image with the configuration, and then another to actually add the new kind of ILO driver.
Okay. And is this a bug or a new
It's
feature?
not really a bug. It's I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a feature. We could call it a feature to add that new ILO support.
I don't think the priority, like they're actively working on it. So
Oh, okay. I can leave priority off if
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
actively working on it. Make sure.
Is this just in the right repo?
It's against bare metal operator. Should we remove it?
Yeah, it should be against the ironic image, shouldn't it?
Well, they're going to have to do work in both of them, so I'm not sure it really matters. I mean, this particular problem, I guess we could say it goes against the ironic image, and we just leave the leave no bug or no ticket for the pull request to add the new feature. That would work.
Yeah, I think that's probably simple play.
Yeah. Okay.
Could you say that again? Sorry, I missed it.
Go ahead and move this one to the ironic image repo, and we'll
All
just use this as the justification for the pull request in that repo to change the default setting.
Okay. It is being transferred. Is it finished? Yes. Okay. And for some reason, the kind didn't get set. Kind feature. All right. That is it for untriaged issues. Why? Something funky is happening here. This is triaged. I think GitHub is just out of sync. Yeah. Okay. We're just about out of time anyway, so I think that's it.
yeah, I just wanted to add one note that like I would like to open also like the facilitation of those meetings. So if any of you would be interested at some point to run the Metal community meeting, feel free to contact me, and you can take like the next coming meeting. Okay, other than that, we are at time, so have a great week and talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Mal.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.